Hello Libra, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for November for the Sun or the Ascendant. Now I'm going to give you an overview of the prospects this month, and then please stay with me. I will dive deep and get into a much more forensic examination of what's upcoming. So as you begin this month, the Sun is joined by Mars in the second house of your situation. The second house is very much to do with finance, our everyday monies. It's also to do with our self-worth. It can be to do with our enjoyment of the good things in life, and having Mars arrive here, where it will be for the next 6 weeks, is going to give you awesome motivation to improve the money coming into your situation. And if you have really been hit by COVID in terms of employment or finance, this is a month when you do have an opportunity to really stage something of a fight back. But of course, Mercury, the planet of communication, has been going through a retrograde in your sign. But the great news is that on the 3rd, it emerges from shadow. The actual retrograde finished on the 18th of October, but I think something that's very important to you in terms of your individual expression or an individual idea can really start to gain traction from the 3rd, which will delight you. Now we are going to have a big polarity this month between energy in your second house, which is those everyday finances, and your 8th house, which is how you connect to others, and I will explore that with you. Also Venus, your ruling planet, moves on the 5th into your sector of home. Now the home is an important place for us all. It's where we have shelter, it's where we rest. It's also to do with our relationships, Venus in the 4th house with our family. But it's very nurturing, and you know, any kind of home decoration project could really start to capture your imagination. So even if you've lived somewhere for some while, because Venus is in this area for a very extended time through to the 6th of March, expect to be busy around home matters in the time to come. But before I go into the greater detail of that, just to say, if you're new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, you can subscribe underneath this video. Now, my work is used on major platforms around the world, and also I write for Britain's most read daily newspaper, so why not get your copy too? Also, with year 2022 racing up at quite a pace, if you want to get your personal forecast for next year, if you order it now, I will give you the rest of this year free, plus a character analysis and 30% off. Please see the link beneath this video. Now, I will now go on to explore your situation in greater detail. Hello Libra, and welcome to your in-depth forecast for November. So having the Sun and Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, having Mars back in its home sign, its dignity, really is going to give you a flame of desire, I feel. And even if you're someone who sees yourself as quite detached because you're an air sign, you like to discuss things, you can be quite philosophical in your approach, maybe even a little bit intellectual. There's a much more earthy dimension to your situation this month, and it's linked very much to the concept of consumption. Now, when I say consumption, it's a rare Libra that doesn't have great taste when it comes to home fabrics, dressing, hair. You know, you are very stylish, but I think you could find yourself wanting to appreciate things in a bit more of an immediate way this month. So that could be things like great food, great wine, or even intimacy. Because on the other side of the heavens from the Sun is Uranus, the planet of electricity, the planet of surprises, the planet of freedom. But that's opposite the Sun for the first week of this month. And it also takes in the new moon, which occurs on the 4th. So the new moon's an opportunity for us to set our intentions for the following 4 weeks. And I think your desire to approach things in a very earnest and energized way around your self-worth is really positive, because being such a diplomatic sign, sometimes, as I expressed to you quite frequently, I think Libran people or Libran ascendant people can get caught up in people pleasing rather too much. But I think you're going to be more direct about marshalling your resources. Because Uranus, however, is the planet of innovation, it may be that you will consider doing something that's different. Also, Mars can be the planet of risk. So I would just say, because Mars goes opposite Uranus in week 3, and Mercury moves into Scorpio from your sign on the 5th and goes opposite Uranus too from the 11th through to the 14th, quite a few different options can come up for you this month, and you may be toying with different ideas, but all this could push you to be a lot more impulsive. And of course, part of your nature is that you like to analyse things and weigh things up, keep those scales in balance. And sometimes people accuse you of being someone who will sit on the fence a little bit too much. But ordinarily, that indecision only occurs when, quite rightly, you're not quite sure of what route to take, because you have a brilliant ability to view things from lots of different angles and the perspective of others. But I think Uranus brings a lot more urgency into the debate this month, as does Mars. So you could find yourself acting in a much more dashing and direct way. So for example, if you're single and you encounter someone who really interests and excites you, you may decide to be much more direct in letting that other person know, wow, this is making my heart race a little bit with the excitement that this month can bring for you. But as I said before, Venus does move out of your sector of everyday communications on the 5th, and through to the 6th of March will be in your 4th house. If you're wanting to move home, I think there's every chance you can make that happen, especially with Venus going alongside Pluto for much of December, and it does for periods of time early next year, which I will explain to you in future forecasts. Pluto is very much about transformation, but it's also about power. You're wanting to tune into a situation where you can increase your power to enhance your sense of security at the root of your life. So it could be that you'll consider an addition to the family. It may be that you'll consider actually getting hitched. It may be that you'll want to redecorate or use the thrust of Mars in some way to refinance a property matter. So lots of exciting potential with that long Venus transit, which occurs because of the retrograde, which begins on the 19th of December. But it is true to say that the Sun forges an amazing link with Pluto in week 2 of this month. So transformations around how you feel about emotions and what value they have to you and the people that you value can be a big part of the journey that you experience this month. It's just that because Mars is squaring up with Saturn the planet of retraction, and Mars the planet of impulse, in week 2 too, and Saturn's in the part of your horoscope to do with delights and joys and potentially romance. Now, Saturn's not usually linked to any of those areas, to be honest. But as ever with Saturn, the harder we work, the more that we get the reward. And remember, Jupiter's in this area too, and both are now travelling forwards. So some of the frustrations you encountered through to the middle of October hopefully are fading away. But I think in week 2, you're just being asked to not be too hasty when it comes to expenditure. You can be tempted by things that are a bit luxurious or a bit classy and a bit indulgent at times. So, and because of the impulsiveness of Uranus pushing you just to live in the moment, then Saturn's just like that wise old parent or grandparent wagging its finger and saying, look, think of what might happen if your situation changes. So that's okay. It's just that in a romantic situation, if there is somebody that you fancy that you're getting to know and it's new, you may not quite get the encouragement that you would like across that week. But inside of yourself, I think your appreciation of what you really want is evolving at quite a pace. Now on the 18th, Venus does go into shadow, so you can't expect that everything's going to go exactly to plan around the home, family, emotional sentiments of your situation. But that's something, that happens quite frequently, shadow periods and retrogrades, and you will take it in your stride. The 19th, however, does see a full moon in the other sign that's governed by Venus, which is Taurus. And Taurus is much more linked to consumption, whereas your rulership of Venus of your sign is much more to do with relating. So I think it's possible, because the full moon is in a very good angle to Pluto, it's very possible that things can be evolving in a way which gives you a greater sense of comfort financially. You may be having some fortune. Jupiter is squaring up this moon, but that actually can be quite a lucky influence. Often squares are more challenging, but the moon square Jupiter, particularly with Jupiter in your 5th house of joys, can help you to shrug off that restrictive vibe that you had from Mars and Saturn in week 2. The 22nd, however, sees the Sun fire into the sign of Sagittarius. But this is really fantastic because it's the 3rd house, so that's very Gemini-like. And for you, of course, Gemini is a fellow air sign, so it's about communication. Expect the pace of life to pick up. There can be news about a contract or some kind of discussion can speed up. Also, Mercury moves into this area on the 24th and forges a fabulous link to Saturn in the last days of this month. Generally speaking, you're moving out of that financial impulsive phase of the year and moving into one that's more to do with expressing ideas, mixing and mingling, having a little bit more social interaction. You may have more to do with siblings or your neighbours in the last 10 days of this month. But that energy that's coming from Uranus this month, remember it's in the part of your situation that's to do with devotion. But Uranus is about authenticity and truth. So for you, where you're really invested has to feel right for you. And it has to feel right for you with the way your life is progressing in terms of your emotional needs. So it's not just about potentially being attracted to someone who has a mesmeric vibe, which I think you could be this month. It is also about feeling that you can be at ease with them in an emotional way as well. So the sexual attraction, but also the security. And then in an existing relationship, the polarity this month between the Sun, Mercury and Mars and Uranus is kind of making you a bit more desirous of a challenge. So there could be some arguments this month, and that may surprise somebody that feels that they know you very well, but the very diplomatic part of your nature could be pushed to one side. You're wanting people to respect you for your talents, respect you for how you handle things, and also you're going to want much more autonomy over how you use your money. So if you're in a relationship where you do not agree about resources with a partner, I do feel that there could be some quite intense conversations to be had, but what all this can bring is a change, a transformation.